Oh, good morning, Yankees universe. Welcome back to another episode of the Yankees Morning Brew on this Thursday, July 18th. Like always, I'm your guy Hector, joined by my compañera this morning. I got the lovely Grace Monroe, and all you Yankee fans, wake up and get some coffee. Grace, how we doing?
I'm sorry, my mic unmuted and I coughed. And I'm like,
I heard
really?
that.
I'm sorry,
No, you're
everyone. I
good.
coughed. I'm so sorry. I'm so unprofessional. My God. But yes, hello. It's a great day. We're getting baseball again tomorrow. Trades are about to happen. I'm watching my phone like a maniac. Every time I get a notification, I'm running over there. I know Cashman is on the horn. So it's about to get down to the nitty gritty. Got my coffee, and let's talk baseball.
Gotta have the coffee. Shout out to the chat. One of the best chats that are out there on YouTube. My guy Joey Mingoey is in the building. Joey M, how you doing? Good morning, guys. Hope all is well. Well, we received the other side of the All-Star game. Let's see what is going to happen as far as the Yankees and trade. Absolutely, Joe. Shout out to big time Jerry Cadill in the building. Big time Jerry, how you doing? Jacob Petruzzi is in the building. Jacob, how you doing? Anna Marie, one of the best moderators out there on the tubes of the Ubes. That is my friend Anna Marie. And of course, Mert So Saucy. And you said it perfectly. Trades are going to happen. Trades are going to come. Andy Martino's reporting that the New York Yankees are trying to replace DJ LeMahieu. You got all these other outlets talking how aggressive Brian Cashman is going to be at the trade deadline. And as a fan of the New York Yankees on July 18th, this is the one thing I got to say. It is about damn time that we are hearing word from the front office about how aggressive they are going to be at the trade deadline. I could be up here on YouTube. Grace could be up here on YouTube. Jason and all the other content creators could be up here on YouTube saying the team needs this and the team needs that. It's not until you start hearing the beat writers and reporters saying that the front office is starting to make some moves that everything starts to kick up and the fire heats up on the trade market. What's your thoughts on that, Grace? Before we got our guest backstage. Go ahead, Grace. I'll key them up as you give your take. Go ahead.
I heard a couple weeks ago somebody had asked. I think it was Joel. See, now I don't want to say the wrong name, but I think it was Joel Sherman, and he was like, "Yeah, Gleyber Torres doesn't have any trade value. He's not going anywhere." But yesterday he changed his tune, and then he said, "Yeah, Gleyber Torres might get moved." So I'm like, "Oh, is something happening?" You know, he's got the inside, sources. So he didn't come out and say like Gleyber Torres is on the move, but he did kind of change his stance, and so my little spidey sense perked up, and I'm like, oh, something may be going on. So we know Cashman's on the phone. We know teams are contacting him as well, because they know the Yankees have needs that we want to aggressively address, and so the phones are going off the hook. I'm sure right now. Yes. The draft is now finished. They've put the draft behind them, and they have to assess these needs. This is go time, right? So some moves are definitely going to be happening, definitely quickly too. So
no, and I'm great that you brought up the draft, right? When you look at the draft and when you look at what the Yankees selected in the first 5 rounds of the draft, straight pitching. Straight college level pitching, high risk, high reward type starting pitchers. And that right there hints to you that the Yankees are going to make a move when it comes to their AA pitching or AAA pitching because they're reloading when it comes to the draft. So something is going to happen. We got our guest backstage, Jason from 161 River Ave. Jay, let me get a thumbs up. Let me know you're ready to rock out. My guy, Jay, how you doing?
What's going on? Grace?
Oh, I'm good, brother. How you feeling?
Good, man. Good. It's very nice to meet you, Grace.
You too, Jason. So nice to meet you. I've been watching you for so long. A big fan of your channel and your content and your community. So I'm really, really glad that you were able to come on today and that I finally get to meet you virtually in person.
Yeah, likewise. Glad to be part of this and being able to hang out with you guys. You know what? Like, you just talk about the draft, and you're right. I mean, like, they drafted 20 picks, right? 14 of them were pitchers. 12 of them were college. One was the JUCO, one was high school. And then they drafted 4 outfielders and 2 infielders, right? So And again, not only to load up to your point too, but they're also probably replenishing what they traded away in the last 2 or
Yeah.
3 years.
Mhm.
Soto, Verdugo, even Frankie Montaz, they gave away a lot of arms. So they're replenishing the system no matter what. And they need to. So, but also when you look at all the names that are being talked about right now, and I'm sure we'll talk about this as well, a lot of them are going to require a Yankees pitcher and or a Yankees outfielder prospect, right? So it's going to be interesting, and like you said too, with the beat writers, we're starting to hear little things here and there, but it's Brian Cashman, as we know, he works quietly behind the scenes. Like he doesn't leak anything, and we a lot of times will know pretty quickly, and right after a beat writer reports it, then all of a sudden a trade happens. It's just kind of the way they operate. And they're very, 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 very stealth. So, and it frustrates fans, but it also intrigues fans like myself. I'm fascinated with that way of operating, right? And not leaking stuff because you don't want to give away any trade leverage either.
Right.
No, that is a great point.
It's interesting. It's just fascinating to see what's going to be. What are we, 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away from the deadline? So it's going to be really, really, and nobody's really doing anything right now, right? I mean, everybody's talking about Tanner Scott, Garrett Crochet, Mason Miller, Tarik Skubal, and the teams, there are certain teams that are quietly operating behind the scenes. Like the Royals made a trade yesterday, I think it was. They got one of the Nationals relievers. Now we're quietly finding out that the Nationals might become sellers. So this might provide an opportunity for the Yankees to call the Nationals and say, hey, you got a couple arms that we could be interested in. While everybody else is waiting to overpay for Tanner Scott, we might be, a good fit for you, one of your relievers here, or two of your relievers. Because at the end of the day, do you want to say after the deadline said we didn't get Tanner Scott, or would you rather say we didn't get Tanner Scott, but we got three other relievers?
Yeah,
like that's a better argument in my opinion. So it would be wise for the Yankees to, and we know they're making phone calls right now, but if they can proactively make a trade with a team that's already being proactive, like the Nationals, it might be a good idea.
Yeah, strike early before everybody starts pouncing. Go ahead, Grace.
Yeah, I was going to say that exact thing, Hector. I think that when you are competing in the market so small against teams like the Orioles who have so much depth, it's more advantageous for you as a franchise to move quickly than to wait toward the trade deadline like the Orioles might be able to do, because they have pieces that everybody wants and they don't have as much to lose by letting them go because they've got pieces behind them and behind them and behind them. Well, we don't really have that situation. We have pieces, don't get me wrong, but we have just a few strategic pieces to move. And if that's our situation, it's better to strike early than to wait to the deadline.
You don't want to get into a bidding war with other
exactly.
teams. Specifically, you don't want to get into a bidding war with the Baltimore Orioles, because when you look at it, the Baltimore Orioles, they have more prospect capital and higher rated prospect capital to give up than the New York Yankees. It may suck to say that as a Yankee fan. I want to believe in our organization and our front office, but the Baltimore Orioles, they've been putting together a nice farm system over the past few years. You got to give them credit. So when it comes down to it, if the Yankees are trying to get Skubal, for instance, I'm just throwing out a name just for sake of the conversation, it's going to come down to the Detroit Tigers. Do they value Jackson Holiday or Spencer Jones higher? Who do they want? Do they want Holiday or do they want Spencer Jones? And that's what it's going to come down to all of these trades. As a Yankee fan, would I want to see Spencer Jones in our outfield? Would I want to see Spencer Jones in the pinstripes? I would absolutely love to see Spencer Jones in a Yankee uniform. But if we're trying to win this year, and if we're trying to compete for the future, re-sign Juan Soto, you got to be able to play ball. And maybe playing ball is trading one of your best prospects chips, and that's Spencer Jones. I hate to say it because I would love to see this kid in a Yankees uniform. Go ahead, Jay.
Both make really important points. So, and let's just say Spencer Jones. Okay, the Tigers, we know that they pay their players, right, for the most part. White Sox, they pay their players. The teams that don't, the A's, and the Marlins, you got Mason Miller there, you got Tanner Scott and some other guys, right? Chisholm. So I think they're going to be more interested in getting a package of prospects that are with controllable years, which is where Orioles come into play. They have the #1 farm in baseball. They're going to be much more willing to overpay in prospects. And teams like, Tarik Skubal, you bring up an important point. He's going to cost either Dominguez or Jones, right? That's a given right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I know they've asked for both, but when you look at, and I broke this down last night, I was live, and the top.
Great show, by the way. I caught the replay of it. Great show, by the way.
And in the top 100 prospects in baseball, number 10 is a Tigers outfielder. So, and I would use it as an argument. I mean, you can have Dominguez or Jones, but not both. Because you have a guy who's rated above both of them. So, and they also they don't have any top pitchers in the top 3, so it's going to cost you either Hampton or Warren or somebody, and other people too. So you already know going after school, you're going to have to lead a package with those.
Yeah,
right? And
no. You're hitting every important point. Before we continue, I just want to shout out David Cohen for the $2 super chat, helping us keep the lights on over here at the Brew Crew. Appreciate you guys when it comes to these super chats. You guys help us when it comes to pay for StreamYard, pay for Canva, pay for a lot of our graphics. So we definitely appreciate all the support you do over here. That's my guy, David Cohen, aka Steve Cohen's cousin. I'm gonna keep running with that joke until he proves me wrong. I want to shout out the rest of the chat as well. Joey M says it's all about how and how much he is going to release or let Cashman work with as far as the trade deadline. And we heard last year, right? At the end of the season, we as Yankee fans, we come to find out that Hal Steinbrenner at the trade deadline, he told Brian Cashman, we ain't going nowhere with this team. So it makes no sense to try to trade for some pieces. Just hold the prospects and wait till next year. And in this offseason, Jason, we was having this type of conversations that we know that this team is not complete. In spring training, we were saying that this team is not complete. It was a given that Brian Cashman was going to have to go out there and make additions at the trade deadline. So for Yankee fans, I wouldn't say the majority, but for the fringe Yankee fans out there that have been losing their minds since June 12th, it's warranted because the New York Yankees have had the worst record in all of Major League Baseball. We only won 2 series, one against Kansas City and one against the Baltimore Orioles. Hopefully, we could pick it up and we could bounce back in the second half of the season. And that starts tomorrow. So let's talk about the Yankee second half and what are our expectations going up into the trade deadline. My friend Mikey Salvatore on Twitter, he put it out there. I'm in such a toxic relationship with the New York Yankees that as much as they annoy me and as much as they frustrate me, I still miss them whenever they aren't playing. And that's how I felt for the past few days, even though I'm frustrated. Even though I'm upset with some of the outcomes of these games, I still miss this team. I miss seeing Aaron Judge in the batting box. I miss seeing Juan Soto in the batter's box. So, Grace, I'll kick it over to you. Let's get your thoughts. How much have you missed the Yankees? And what's your expectations for the second half? And kick it over to Jay. And folks in the chat, let us know, what are your expectations for the second half of the season?
I was so bored last night. I said to my husband, I'm like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Do you want to do something? And he's like, oh, there's no baseball on? And I'm like, no. Not only is there no Yankees on, there's no baseball at all. So we ended up renting or getting Gladiator, the old movie from the 90s. And because, Gladiator 2 is coming out and it looks so good.
Okay.
And we were both like, we haven't seen Gladiator in so long. Like, let's watch it. So we watched a movie. Like, we didn't have anything to do. But yeah, I miss the guys. Obviously, you watch these guys. It feels like every day for so long that you feel like you know them, even though, obviously we don't. But it's like what you always talk about, Hector, that parasocial relationship. I feel like I have a parasocial relationship with all the Yankees players. And I miss them. And I'm really looking forward to baseball starting tomorrow. I think we did establish some momentum going into the All-Star break, even though I know that that's a point of contention with a lot of Yankees fans. But I choose to believe that we did establish something good and that the Yankees are about to catch fire. And like I've been saying, the August schedule is easier. I'll say easier than our past schedule. So if we can get to August, y'all, and we start rolling, I mean, I still believe that Cashman's going to make acquisitions and we're going to catch fire. We're going to go into the postseason. We're going to go far. That's what I think.
Yeah. Jay, before you go, let me highlight some of the chats real quick and I'll toss it over to you. Shout out to my friend Sierra Poteet. Good morning, bestie. Hope all is well. It's my friend Sierra. She does great work over there with Uncle Tats and the Pinstripe Chronicles, and she's a member of the Empire State of Baseball with Richie Rivera, ESB. Shout out to my friend Sierra. Very knowledgeable Yankee fan, very knowledgeable baseball fan in general. Shout out to Sierra. Make sure you guys go and follow her. My friend Frederick is in the building. Frederick said, good morning, Hector. Good morning, Grace. Shout out to you, Frederick. And of course, Jonathan says the trades are coming. It's like that scene from what was that show? That Game of Thrones, right? Winter is coming. Trades are coming when it comes to the New York Yankees. Go ahead, Jason.
Grace making a very important point too. And like, we have to get through the rest of July, right? We right out the gate, we have 4 against Tampa Bay in Yankee Stadium, and then we get the Mets next. These guys are giving the Yankees fits this year, so we have to get through these guys. And then we have the Phillies, Philadelphia Phillies, the week after that. So it's not going to be easy until August and September. They will be a light schedule, thankfully, which is probably one reason why the Yankees are not in panic mode yet. A lot of fans are. So, and with that, I always like to bring perspective. People are saying Hal's being cheap and so on and so forth. I think it's important to remember that the revenues is not the same thing as their profits.
Yeah,
they have $700 million in revenue. They're not sitting on $700 million in profit. You have to deduct payroll expenses and then get the profit. Okay. And then when you do that, the Yankees aren't sitting on as much money as people think they are. So, and they do have the highest payroll in baseball. So they are reinvesting in their product. Do they always do it well? No, but they're reinvesting in their product, right? In their team. And they pay more revenue sharing to teams than any other team does. And teams pocket this money. They don't spend it to make their team better. That's one thing I think should be changed in baseball, in the CBA. They shouldn't be just funneling out $150 million every year to teams who, fly private jets and don't have any fans to pack the stadium. Like, what the hell's going on here? So, and I'm confident they will make moves. What moves, I'm not sure, but I do think, he needs to be as strategic at the deadline as they were in the offseason, right? When they made the trades to address the needs that they had at the time. They needed lefty contact bats, they got that. They needed this, they got that. So they needed more pitching, they got that. And I think any move now would likely be a good idea to say, okay, what do we need to beat the Orioles? What do we need to beat the Red Sox or the Rays, right? And then if we get to the National League side, which is to be the World Series, what do we need to beat the Phillies or whoever it might be, the Dodgers, right? And with that logic, we already know they need to load up on the bullpen. We know they need another face or 2 in the infield. But are they going to be the right fits? Is it going to be Jazz Chisholm or Jonathan India? We don't know. No. You've got John Birdie coming back, and I love his positional versatility, but is it enough? I would love to see the number 1 and the number 4 hitters be different. I don't care whether it's Soto or Judge and Soto at 2 and 3. I'm going with that. But we need a good guy to set them up and a good guy to protect them on the other end at the 1 and the 4 spots. And I think
what?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I wanted to interject and get your thoughts on something that I noticed that I found to be very interesting, which was Bruce Bochy, who is, I will not take any arguments on this, one of the greatest managers that is still active right now, like, period. Like, you can't even argue.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. He won both in the National League and the American League with 2 franchises that haven't won a World Series in a long time. Texas never won a World Series, so shout out to Bruce Bochy.
Yeah, he's great. So, and he is known to go against analytics whenever he is inspired to do so. Now, don't get me wrong. He still has analytics. Everybody does. But he's one of the managers who leans away when he feels like it, right? So I'm setting all this up to ask you this question, guys. So when Bruce Bochy had the best players in the American League on his roster and he was making his lineup, he batted Aaron Judge fourth, not third, not second, right? And I just thought, That is very interesting to me. Now, I'm not making the argument that Aaron Judge should be batting fourth in our current lineup because we obviously don't have all the weapons that Bruce Bochy had when he was creating this lineup for the American League roster, when he was making that lineup. We don't have all those tools, right? And I get it. I'm not attacking Aaron Boone at all either. I just thought that that was extremely interesting to me, that maybe you could possibly say, ideally, Aaron Judge would be batting cleanup. If you believe Bruce Bochy is, the baseball mind that I believe he is. Not in our current lineup. In an ideal Yankees lineup, right? In an ideal Yankees world, Aaron Judge would be batting cleanup. We don't have the personnel to be able to do that right now, so they got him third. Or is it a philosophical difference between a more analytics driven team or a more old school baseball team? Jason, what do you think about that?
I think it's a combination. I mean, obviously know the infiltration in the Yankees world with analytics, right? How they have. And, and I would I be opposed to Judge batting cleanup on the Yankees? No, because I think Juan Soto would be a great at number 3.
Yeah.
They should back each other up no matter what. I don't think there should be Soto and then somebody else and then Judge. I think it should be Soto and Judge no matter what, whether it's 2, 3, or 3, 4. But, I think having a good table setter at the top who can get on base and cause disruption on the base pass is a good way to set these guys up and somebody on the back end to protect them. Like in the beginning of the season, when they were firing on all cylinders, they had that protection on both sides, right? And now they don't. And when Giancarlo Stanton got hurt, and the lineup kind of went out of whack. It became chaotic. You didn't have anybody protecting on the other end, and then you were playing guys like Gleyber Torres and Alex Verdugo have no business at the 4 spot.
Yeah.
No 5 spot. But they were doing that because they had a lack of options. Unfortunately, we were out John Birdie, we were out, Giancarlo Stanton, we're out guys that could be contributing factors. And if I were to do that, if I were to bat Soto and Judge 3-4, I still would want a table setter, and I would want another on base percentage guy who hits for pretty decent contact at the number 2 spot.
Right.
I think setting them up more, because I'd rather have Soto and Judge batting with 2 or 3 guys on base than batting with nobody on base.
Right. I just found it interesting that, like I said, we couldn't swing it on our current team, but ideally, right? If you trust Bruce Bochy's opinion, I found it very interesting that ideally Aaron Judge would be batting cleanup, and I've never seen him back. I don't think I've ever seen him bat cleanup.
I think in 2017 he did bat cleanup his rookie year, that full rookie season. He batted cleanup at the beginning of the season, right? Because they had Gary Sanchez as the 3-hole hitter with Aaron Judge as the cleanup hitter behind him when Judge started getting hot. And then as the season progressed, Gary Sanchez obviously wasn't the same Gary Sanchez from when he first got called up. They moved Judge up, and then eventually Judge was the 2-hole hitter for the rest of the season. And the thought process, I see what you're saying, Grace, and it makes, in an idealistic world, makes all the sense in the world. When you have the tools that Bruce Bochy had in the All-Star game to have the leadoff hitter being this and the 2-hole hitter being that, and then Juan Soto, it's very easy to make when you have Steven Kwan as your leadoff hitter, and then your 2-hole hitter, and then Juan Soto. But when the New York Yankees, Gunnar Henderson, when the New York Yankees, when we don't even have a leadoff hitter right now, we don't have a leadoff hitter right now. You're going to want to get the most at-bats out of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, so you want to put them in the 2 and 3 spot. And it's funny you said that because Aaron Boone was on with John Boy and them, talking Jake. He was on with them, and they were having the conversation about, hey, have you guys thought about moving Juan Soto to the leadoff spot and Judge into the 2-hole? And I get the thought process because you want to get your 2 best bats as many at-bats as possible.
Right.
But if that's the route we're gonna go, the Yankees what are we doing? That means we're not making no improvement at the trade deadline, right? Because what we really need is a leadoff hitter. And this is something I told my friend Al Cintron on WFAN when I called in for him. The New York Yankees, we haven't had a leadoff hitter ever since Brett Gardner retired. Ever since Brett Gardner left the New York Yankees, we don't have that prototypical leadoff hitter. DJ LeMahieu in 2019 and 2020, phenomenal seasons. He's a 2-hole hitter. He's not a leadoff hitter. We need to address that at the trade deadline. And I think guys like a Jazz Chisholm or a Jonathan India, they solve both issues. One, They're both infielders, and 2, they can both be a leadoff hitter. I know when it comes to Jazz Chisholm, his on-base percentage is around like 320. It's not like the best on-base percentage for a leadoff hitter, but it's still way better than what you're getting out of Gleyber Torres and what you're getting out of the leadoff spot for the New York Yankees this season.
And to your point too, Hector, Chisholm and India, if they're on first and either Soto or Judge hit a double, they're scoring. They're not going to be stranded.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between them and DJ and Gleyber Torres. Some of these guys are going to be stranded at third. These guys are going to, and that's the type of leg speed we need at the top of the lineup, right? To put them in a position to score and these guys get on base, they hit the ball on a regular basis, and Aaron Judge, just like Giancarlo Stanton, they hit the ball really, really hard. So there's no surprise that they lead in double plays, right? There's no surprise. They hit the ball 2,000 miles an hour. So, and Usain Bolt couldn't even run out of double play if he hit the ball that hard. So, like,
here's what I want. Jason Dominguez, leadoff. Ben Rice, second. Juan Soto, third. Aaron Judge, fourth. Giancarlo Stanton, fifth.
Listen. I think every Yankee fan will be happy with that. And talking about Ben Rice, just so everybody know, later on I will be in Woodbridge, New Jersey. Our friend Frank Luna is having an event with Ben Rice. So Ben Rice is going to be having an autograph signing in Woodbridge, New Jersey. If there's any fans out there, if you guys want an autograph for Ben Rice, if you can't make it to New York City, to Woodbridge, New Jersey, reach out to me. We'll try to figure something out. I may try to get one autograph signing so we could give it away on the show next week. I don't know. We'll try to figure that out. So just be tuned to that. So with the conversations about Aaron Judge, right? Let's keep it on there, because Aaron Judge came out over the past couple of days at the All-Star break, and shout out to our friends at Fireside Yankees. This is a quote from Aaron Judge. As the Yankees, we're going to try to put ourselves in the best position. Judge told reporters, it's the front office job to fill the holes where we need them. We've had a great group so far, and we'll take any help we can get. When was the last time any Yankee fan heard Aaron Judge at the All-Star game say that the front office, they need to get us help? When's the last time? Well, have you guys ever heard Aaron Judge, or am I misquoting him for what he said? He literally says it's up to the front office to get the pieces that we need for the holes that we need them at, and the front office, we take whatever help we can get. What's your thoughts on that, folks?
Go ahead, Jay.
He speaks. That's something that Josh Donaldson would say, not Aaron Judge, right? And so I'm glad he said it. And I'm glad that he's captain for a reason, right? I said this. I think Garrett Cole should be co-captain because he's a lot more vocal than Aaron Judge, particularly on the field. So, but the fact of the matter is, that was a breath of fresh air to hear Aaron Judge say that.
No, it truly was.
The heart and do it.
I feel like he said something similar-ish in the offseason.
Before the Juan Soto trade, towards the end of the season. Yep,
you're right.
He said, Brian,
exactly.
and this is the thing that I always bring up to people. Whenever the conversation is around Aaron Boone, he always names Aaron Boone, and he always defends Aaron Boone. Whenever it has to do with Brian Cashman, he always says the front office. He never calls Brian Cashman by his name, and he's never out there defending Brian Cashman. So that's always a fun note to keep in the back of your head.
Hector, you were bringing up the other day that Aaron Judge was on Corey Kluber's podcast.
Yes.
I watched the interview. Did you pick up on the fact that Aaron Judge said that when it was getting down to the final decision for who he was going to sign with between the Giants and blah, 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 that his wife was like, this is what he said. He said, my wife said, just call him up. And I'm like, wait a minute. Aaron called Hal, not the other way around, like we always thought. According to Aaron Judge, he called Hal Steinbrenner up. So I was like, oh my God, that was new information for me. Now, of course, we don't know all the details. Maybe Hal had a voicemail sitting on his voicemail saying, hey, call me, let's talk. Maybe. We don't know. We don't know all the details. But I just found that to be very interesting.
No, it definitely is, especially if it came down to his wife, shout out to Aaron Judge's wife saying, "Hey, call them back. Maybe they want to. Maybe they can match this." And I think when it comes down to it, I think Judge was gonna give. And again, I'm just on the outside as a Yankee fan speculating, just like everybody else is. I saw that same interview, but I got from that interview that he was going to call the Yankees back and give Howe an opportunity to match it, no matter what.
Gotcha.
If you guys are into football, the Hard Knocks is out right now on HBO, and we saw the same exact process play out with Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants. Right? What happened though with Barkley is, when he had the conversation with the GM, and the GM told him, "Hey, call us back and give us a chance to match it," Saquon Barkley never did that the way that Aaron Judge did that. So Aaron Judge, credit to him calling the Yankees back and giving the Yankees a last-minute chance to match it or overseed it. And we still have Aaron Judge to this day, and that's the one thing. That's the one thing right there. Hal Steinbrenner, if you're listening out there, whatever you need to do, whether it's this trade deadline or whether it's this upcoming offseason, do not let Yankee fans down. Do not let Yankee fans have to print out T-shirts that say fire Brian Cashman, sell the team. How I don't want to be a part of those conversations. So hopefully Hal Steinbrenner does not let that happen. I want to bring up some trade targets, and we got two different groups to go at. We're going to go Group 1 and Group A, talking about Brian Cashman and the additions at the trade deadline. So with this first group, my guy Nicky on Twitter, he put it out there. These are potential Yankees trade targets. Again, no inside sources. I'm not claiming that I know someone in the GM's office. None of that. This is just targets that Yankee fans and folks are putting out there on Twitter, and we're going to grade them to see if this is something we would do or we won't do. So the first one on the list is Hector Neris. You know, Hector Neris, former reliever with the Houston Astros. Then you got Tanner Banks, who's a left-handed reliever with the White Sox. Garrett Crochet is another left-handed pitcher with the White Sox, a starting pitcher. You got Carlos Estevez, who's a reliever with the Angels. Infielder, outfielder Jazz Chisholm. He could be a leadoff hitter and second baseman. And then you got Tanner Scott from the Marlins. And then you got Garrett Clevenger from the Tampa Bay Rays. So I want to ask folks in the chat, ask Jason and Grace, if there's any names on that list that stands out as targets for you. Jace, if you want to go first. I'll bring up the list again so you can see it.
Tanner Scott, Jazz Chisholm, and Garrett Crochet. And then we are getting updating reporting on from Bob Nightingale too. Apparently, the ask on Garrett Crochet has gone from Spencer Jones and Chase Hampton to Spencer Jones or Chase Hampton. Mm-hmm. So that's been the updated reporting on that. So it sounds like there's a chance that they could get a Crochet without having to give up Spencer Jones. Mm. If that's the case, that changes the calculus for me, right? Yeah. Because I would be more willing to add a Roderick Arias or someone like that to a Chase Hampton than I would a Spencer Jones, right? Mm-hmm. So, and still get a Garrett Crochet. The question remains is if he comes here, what would they do with him? Would he be a starter or would he be in a bullpen? Again, if he playing now, he would represent the lockdown number 2 that we would need behind Garrett Cole, that we expected Carlos Rodon to be and has not been, right? And we need that 2. We need that 1-2 formidable and at the top for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And represent that. So would Tarik Skubal. But the asking is going to be astronomical. And they've got to be willing to give in somewhere. To give value, you're going to have to give it. Mm-hmm. And especially in this trade market. And we know, too, with the expanded playoff format and so many teams in contention, there's going to be less teams selling. So the prices are going to be higher for the guys that are available. And that's something that's just the reality of it right now. Mm-hmm. So, and we don't know if a team that sells now is going to be buyers later, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. Like, we're quietly hearing about the Nationals now, whereas a week ago, we're like, well, they're in contention now. They're not going to sell. Now they're starting to sell. Mm-hmm. So,
I wish they would push the trade deadline back. If they're going to have so many teams in the wild card conversation, I wish they would push the trade deadline back even by 2 weeks or something. It would make such a difference. Yeah. I swear they need to do that.
I think eventually we'll get there, especially because of the points that Jason just made up with that extra wild card spot. They want to have as many teams in it as possible, especially the big market teams, because it's right before football season, right? So when you have New York and the Mets are out of it and the Yankees are out of it, it makes a very dry sports scene for the month of August and the month of September. So Major League Baseball is working alongside, it's just like every other sport league that's out there, to make sure big market teams, big city teams are in it when they need to be in it the most important times of the season. Interesting that you bring up Garrett Crochet and the asking price going down for him, because when you look at Skubal with the Detroit Tigers, both the White Sox and the Tigers, they both have, when it comes to their prospects, a lot of infield and position player prospects. What they don't have is starting pitching prospects. So that kind of goes in the Yankees' favor. It's just like with Juan Soto. When we traded for Juan Soto, the Padres, they wanted pitching prospects in return. Other teams had better position players that were ranked higher than the New York Yankees, but the Yankees had extra pitching prospects to trade away. So when you look at Garrett Crochet and Skubal, the Yankees, we have a lot of starting pitching prospects to trade away. A Chase Hampton. I know Clayton Beater is injured, but we still have other pitching prospects that are down there, Brock Selvage, and other prospects Will Warren we could put together in a trade. When you look at the Baltimore Orioles, like Jason said, the Baltimore Orioles, they have the number one farm system in all of Major League Baseball. But what hurts the Orioles in this conversation is the fact that their top 6 prospects are all position players. Their 7th, 8th, and 9th prospect are pitchers, but 2 of them are relievers. One of them is a starting pitcher that's not going to be ready to 2026. So when you look at it, the Yankees could potentially be in the driver's seat if they're willing to trade all their top pitching prospects away for either Garrett Crochet or Skubal. It's just going to come down, who do the Yankees value more? For me, when it comes to Garrett Crochet, my only concerns, Jason, is if we trade for Crochet, we're going to have the same conversations about Crochet we've been having about Luis Hill and the innings limit, right? Skubal, I'll be more willing to trade for Skubal because I could count him being a pitcher in September that's going to be there in October, because he had over 120, 130 innings last year.
He's been a starter every year. Crochet's being converted from a reliever to a starter. So there's a little bit different transition there, right? And again, and then it's intriguing. It's intriguing right now because the White Sox have gotten 2 offers already for Crochet, and they flat out rejected them day one. They got an offer from the Padres. They offered Ethan Salas, the number 6 prospect in all baseball, catcher, and they said no to it. So, and then they offered some other pieces. So, and I don't remember if it was the Mariners or somebody else that offered something else big, and they flat out rejected them too. So maybe that says that they're interested in what the Yankees have to offer on the pitching side, because other teams don't. So it's something to stay tuned on. But at the end of the day, if they get one of Skubal or Garrett Crochet, the Yankees are going to be better than they were before.
Yeah.
Right.
And you guys know, like Dane, our friend Dane, he's been reporting for the longest that ever since 2020, the Yankees minor league system, they have been making conservative efforts to develop starting pitching so they could trade them away when they need to trade them away. That's why when you look at the past 3 or 4 seasons, every trade that the Yankees have made, they've used their pitching from the minor leagues to get the deal done. Whether that was Frankie Montas, whether that was Andrew Benintendi, whether that was whatever player you could insert into the conversation, they used their pitching prospects to get the deal done. Juan Soto, we traded pitching prospects to get the deal done for Juan Soto. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Go ahead. Go ahead, Grace.
I want Tanner Scott out of that list. I really want Tanner Scott, and I want to tell you guys the difference between the energy, the attitude of Tanner Scott and Clay Holmes, not even in the same galaxy, right? Night and day. And when he took the mound, I told my husband, future Yankee. they were like, and here comes Tanner Scott. I'm like, future Yankee right there. And I'm watching him pitch, and I'm just like, he was cool as a cucumber. Like, that's what we say in the South. Y'all say that?
I've never been a fan of cucumbers, so,
Okay. Anyway, every time I say a saying, Jason, everybody's like, nobody says that. I'm like, oh, dang it. Is that a country thing? I'm sorry. So now I'm like traumatized. Every time I say a saying, I'm like, do I look country? Anyway, Tanner Scott was so calm. And this was the all-star game he was closing out. Or I think he was in the 8th inning. And he didn't even care, was unfazed, totally unfazed. Yep. That is the energy I want in our bullpen. Period.
Point blank.
I want, cooler than the other side of the pillow. Love it.
Point blank.
I want Tanner Scott. Jazz Chisholm, sure, I'd love to have him. Throw him in with Tanner Scott. Let's make a deal with the Marlins. I really, really want to, because I really want Tanner Scott. Jazz Chisholm, sure, like I would like that. That'd be a bonus, but I really want Tanner Scott. Garrett Crochet, if we got him, I'd be like happy. But I do have concerns about him with his innings, and I kind of am like Jason. I want to know what capacity do they want Garrett Crochet? Yeah. Do they want to put him in the bullpen? Do they want to use him as a starter? Do they want to, like, I don't know. I don't know what their plan would be for that. I have absolutely no confidence in Carlos Rodon at this point. If we're in the postseason, I don't trust Carlos Rodon to make a start in the postseason at all. So I really don't know what they're going to do with this situation. Unfortunately, he's making a lot of money, but at the end of the day, I'm a fan, right? Now I have the privilege of acting like a fan right now. I don't care how much money he's making. I want the best pitcher to be pitching, especially in the postseason. So, and I want somebody I can trust, right? So, that's how I feel about that. Who else was on that list? Was Paredes on the list?
I'll bring it up right now for you. Isaac Paredes, yes, because it's reported that, Isaac Paredes is on this list. Isaac Paredes apparently is available from the Tampa Bay Rays. And I remember on the last show, Grace brought up Isaac Paredes. And I was like, there's no way the Tampa Bay Rays will be willing to trade him. And literally right after we got off of that show, I got to give Grace her flowers because she called it. They said that the Rays are making their only all-star, Isaac Paredes, third baseman, available at the trade deadline. So, Grace, you definitely deserve the flowers for that one.
Thank you. I was just going to say, it's like what Jason was bringing up about the teams that don't usually pay their players. Well, the Rays never pay their players. So, you know, Isaac Paredes, like, I'm not even that surprised that he's available, right? I would love to have him because he's a Yankee killer. And that's some old school Yankee stuff, to go out and get everybody who kills us, put them on our team, and let them win. That's some old school Yankees vibes, and I love that.
But also, I brought up this list, right? And my fault, Jason, for cutting you off, because I want to set this up perfectly for you. Because with what Grace just said right there, when you look at the list for the Rays, Yandy Diaz, Zach Eflin, Pete Fairbanks, Brandon Lau, Isaac Paredes, Ahmed Rosario. Those are players all from the Tampa Bay Rays. Isaac Paredes, because he has years of control, may cost you a little bit too much. But when you look at Ahmed Rosario, Brandon Lau, and a Pete Fairbanks, those three players right there, Pete Fairbanks for your bullpen, Brandon Lau for your infield, Ahmed Rosario for infield and outfield depth. If you're able to get those three players, they won't cost you as much because they are all on expiring deals. And those would be three additions to your team that can help you out and impact you immediately.
You could probably get good value from the Nationals and the Rays without having to gut your system. Paredes is going to cost either Dominguez or Jones.
Or Jones. That's a given.
At least. And then some. If you look at the prospects, the top 100, they have 4 infielders in the top 40 or top 50. 4. So they can replace Paredes and Juan DeFranco in-house.
Yep.
They have no outfielders and no pitchers on that list.
Okay.
Yep.
So when off the bat, Chase Hampton goes, Jones goes, or Dominguez goes, and then some if you want Paredes. And he's a Super 2 player. So he's on his first year of arbitration right now, but he has 3 more years after that. As a Super 2, you get 4 years of arbitration eligibility. So he gets 3 more years of full control before he becomes a free agent at a position that the Yankees need. Like, I was hoping that the Yankees would try to trade for Ryan McMahon for third base from the Rockies, but they gave him the reassurances that he wouldn't be a trade. So, okay, that's cool. But Paredes, and again, are the Rays going to trade to the Yankees in division without asking for a ransom and then a ransom on top of it?
Bingo.
I don't know. So it might get what we can get from the Rays. If you can get improve on the margins, improve bullpen here, position player there, Rosario would be a nice bench piece too. Or a second base, it could be a legitimate replacement for Gleyber Torres. Get a Chisholm or an India. So you could get value from the Rays. Most definitely.
I want to bring up Double A Super Chat real quick. Double A, thank you for the $4.99 helping us keep the lights on over here at Morning Brew Sports. Double A says, salute Morning Brew crew familiar. If available, Rendon will bounce back. Isaac Paredes, I guess, from the Bay Rays. And yeah, I think Carlos Rodon definitely will bounce back as well. I got a list of Yankees prospects. So entertain me real quick, Jason and Grace. Let me know, would you make this trade? If it's for Skubal or Garrett Crochet, these are the pitching prospects I'm willing to give up for either one of them, right? You got to start off with Chase Hampton because he's our top pitching prospect. So I'm throwing Chase Hampton. I'm throwing Will Warren. I'm throwing Brock Selvage. Those are 3 pitchers right there. And I'm giving them Augustine Ramirez, our top catching prospect from the minor league system right now, just so they could get a bat. And again, it's painful to give away Augustine Ramirez, but when you got a guy like Skubal coming back or Garrett Crochet coming back, you're gonna have to play ball. We still keep Spencer Jones, we still keep Jason Dominguez, and we still keep Henry Lalane, who I think is the best pitching prospect we have in our organization. What's your thoughts on that? Either for Crochet or for Skubal.
But to what end are you going to use Crochet? Bullpen or starter?
I'll figure it out when I have. If I have to prioritize, I would say Skubal first and then Crochet. That's how.
Yeah, I would do that for Skubal. I don't know if we'd have to do that for Crochet. I think we could probably get
for Skubal.
The Skubal, I would. I mean, if you can get Skubal without giving up Jones and Dominguez, that would be a pretty impressive haul coming back. So you'd have to give up 2 top pitching prospects, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and like Nosebleed says, any trade is going to hurt you because you're going to have to give up. One, the market for the trade market, it's not that big, right? So again, this is a seller's market, not a buyer's market. This is not a buyer's market where everything is easy for the buyer, for the teams to trade for. This is a seller's market. The teams that are trading away pitching, trading away relievers, they are driving the conversation. And like Stetson says, yeah, we're giving up too much pitching, absolutely, but we're getting a guy who you could put right behind Garrett Cole, who has years of control on top of the Yankees. We just drafted all that pitching in the draft just now. So Jason just said it. He laid it out perfectly. The
14.
Yankees are gearing up. 14 different starting pitchers we drafted. The Yankees are gearing up for a big move at this trade deadline.
Yeah.
I feel like starting pitching is not our biggest concern. I feel like for me, if I'm going to give up that much of a haul, it needs to be addressing a bigger hole in my team than that. So if you're talking to me about like a lights out closer or for a lights out closer, I would trade a lot. But if you're talking to me about like some infielder that has a good bat, consistent, then I might like talk to you about that more. But just because I feel like, you guys, I'm going to say something crazy right now. I feel like Garrett Crochet is a move that is a little bit for this year and a lot for the future. So for me, I want to address this year more. If you're telling me that Crochet is going to make a postseason start and still play well, I mean, obviously you can't predict the future, right? But that's the problem with Garrett Crochet. So like for me, I would rather make a different trade first. If we get Garrett Crochet, it's like a bonus or something to me. Like obviously he's great. I get it. But if we only have a certain amount of prospect capital to give, I want to address relievers and infielders like more than a starter. Does that make sense?
Would you? No. It makes 100%. It makes all the sense in the world. How do you feel about Skubal? Skubal, the same thing, because Skubal, he can guarantee you a start in the postseason because he doesn't have that innings limitation like Crochet will have.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Skubal then I would feel more inclined to do that because he feels more like a move for this year. And Garrett Crochet is going to be a great piece on your team next year and the year after and to help Cole with the rotation. I know we're losing Nestor and we're, we will be losing some people at the end of the year, and Brian Cashman's job is not only just to live for this year, but for next year as well. That's why his job's so hard. But me as a fan, I don't care. I want to win now.
No, but I agree with you, and I'll toss it over to Jason to get his thoughts. If we were going at what is a priority for this team, for me, the number one priority is a closer, right? There should be no reason we have Clay Holmes, and I've given Clay Holmes the benefit of the doubt, Jason. I'm not sure how you feel with Clay Holmes, but he is leading the American League in blown slaves. There's two ways to look at it. One, he's not pitching as effectively as he once pitched, and two, he has horrible defense behind him. When you're a pitcher like Clay Holmes, who is a ground ball pitcher, you need gold glove defense behind you. And every save that has been blown, there's been one save blown this year that was via the home run, and that was against the Boston Red Sox. Every other blown save that Clay Holmes has, it's because he's walking guys and his defense is shaky, and that ground ball that should be a double play or should be a routine play at second base is getting booted and is finding the outfield. And that's been the issue with Clay Holmes. He does not have a swing and miss stuff, and that's what you need for a closer, especially in the postseason. How do you feel, Jay?
And to your point too, 6 blown saves. His ERA is still 2.77.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those runs were unearned runs. Right. So, but 6 blown saves are 6 blown saves. And if you're going to replace Clay Holmes, and Cashman's very good at acquiring pitchers with controllable years. Like Efros had 4 controllable years when he got him, right? Some of these other guys. So, Tanner Scott, as much as I'd love him, I would love him and Andrew Nardi more. Because you get that the guy with 3 years of control to complement Tanner Scott. So that if Tanner Scott walks, you at least have Andrew Nardi there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if Holmes, he went from a 6 ERA in Pittsburgh to like the mid 2s with the Yankees. So that's pretty impressive. And that's the Matt Blake, but he gives me JWS, which is John Wetland from, right? And I feel like I feel stressed when he pitches now. Yeah. And I'm feeling that way. So
yeah.
I just had a breakthrough thought I want to tell you guys. So remember,
go ahead. And before you do that, shout out to the chat. We got over 100 people rocking with us collectively across all platforms. If you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on the Elon Musk machine, formerly known as Twitter, click the link in the bio, jump on over to YouTube, help us out. We are on our way to 5K subscribers. Smack that like button. We are sitting on 35 likes on YouTube, and we got close to 60 people on the stream. So smack the like button. Let's run the like up to 60s. And if you're watching us for the first time, hit that subscribe button. Sorry, Grace, go ahead.
So remember how I was saying that the American League lineup illustrated to me that in an ideal world, Aaron Judge will be batting cleanup. The Yankees don't have the people to make that happen. So he is forced to bat third or second, right? So we're talking about pitching, and we're talking about Clay Holmes. And a light bulb just went off for me. Holmes is like Judge. Holmes should be the setup guy, but we have nobody else to throw closer. So he's being forced to be a closer, but he would be an amazing setup guy, right? He's got great stuff. And it's almost like his potential is being almost wasted by having to force to be played out of position kind of in the closer role when he should be a setup guy. If we had Clay Holmes to set up and a lights out closer, my God, like a starter could just pitch 6 innings and then we'd be cool. I mean, and that's what I was going to say. That was my light bulb.
Yeah. No, you hit it on the head, because when we had Aroldis Chapman here and when we first got Clay Holmes, like Jason was saying, Clay Holmes was unhittable when we first got him. He was pitching, that sinker was like 100, 101 miles per hour when he first came over here from Pittsburgh. So you're not saying something that most Yankee fans we haven't thought of, because I think Clay Holmes, he will be a phenomenal 7th inning or 8th inning guy. I don't think he has a swing and miss stuff to be an all-star elite closer. Go ahead, Jay.
Your point too. He went from a middle reliever in Pittsburgh to a closer in New York. You're dealing with a hornet's nest here every day, and if you blow a save, it's going to get amplified by 10,000%. So, that's just the territory that you're dealing with here. It comes to the territory. And while we were speaking, the Dodgers outrighted Jose Hernandez, was a 26-year-old left-handed reliever with 5 years of control left. So he might be an option. He cleared waivers. So
Oh,
he
wow.
might be an option for as a fringe improvement for the Yankees on the lefty side.
I'll tell you this. I don't trust the Dodgers. We got Caleb Ferguson and we got Victor Gonzalez, and I can't stand both of those bastards. All right, both of them. I joke around a lot, right? But I pray whenever Caleb Ferguson or Victor Gonzalez, whenever they wake up in the middle of the night to go use the bathroom, I pray that they stub their toe, right? I pray that they hurt themselves walking in pitch black to the bathroom.
Hector! Oh my God.
Well,
It's all up. It's all up.
if Cashman can turn Joey Gallo into Clayton Beater, right, and Billy McKinney into $500K international money, then he can get something for nobody. He can get something for Torres. He can get maybe I'm a believer in Matt Blake too. So could Matt Blake make this guy better? Yeah, I mean he's 26 years old from the Dominican Republic. He hasn't been tainted by the Dodgers long enough yet. He's only been there for 1 year. So, but I mean, they had the recent trades with the Dodgers have been as successful as the recent trades with the A's for pitchers. So neither one of them has bared a lot of fruit here, but he's got a ton of control, and at the very least, there's no risk. You're not absorbing any contract.
True.
So he might be an option for, and this is what I'm like. This is where Cashman's good at, right? Getting these guys with mad controllable years.
I want to ask you, Jason, because Joe just brought it up in the chat. Anna just brought it up in the chat. Shout out to Anna Marie. When it comes to both DJ LeMahieu and Gleyber Torres, what are your expectations for both of them? Because I brought up on the last show that when Major League Baseball, they had the Juice Baseball. I know a lot of people, we highlighted Gleyber Torres and how he benefited from the Juice Balls, hitting 38 home runs, but also DJ LeMahieu benefited from the Juice Balls as well. That was the first time in his career DJ LeMahieu looked like a superhero for 2019 and for 2020. DJ LeMahieu, his average exit velocity for both those seasons were 83 miles per hour. That's the same like Didi Gregorius, who had double-digit home runs in 2020. Now in 2024, the average exit velocity for home run hitters that are in the double digits, it's over 94 miles per hour. So DJ LeMahieu definitely benefited from those Juice Baseballs. What do you think is going to happen with both of them? What do you think is the key? What do you think is the future for them, I should say?
I think the Yankees would be wise to acquire a second baseman and play John Birdie at third base if they don't acquire a third baseman, and have DJ ride the bench and be backup players. At this point, I don't think he's going to get traded. He's got 2 years left at $15 million per. I think Gleyber Torres is tradable, even if it's national money or a fringe prospect. I think a change of scenery for him would do him some good up here, so he can kind of resurrect it. I like the kid and so on, but it's unfortunately it's a time for a parting of the ways between him and the team, right? And as much as I don't like to say that, it's true. And I would rather have an upgrade here. And I don't want to feel like there are two wasted spots in the lineup that TCT cards. I feel like it with DJ and Torres is mostly two wasted spots in the lineup almost every night.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel that way. I think a second baseman could be a leadoff hitter, and DJ would probably be best to be one of the bench guys. The bench would be better with him. So he could play multiple infield positions. So that's kind of how I think the best scenario would unfold for these two. But what about you guys?
Go ahead, Grace. You could go first.
I think DJ still has value as a bench piece. Even though he doesn't have speed, but he could still have defensive replacement value or whatever, give somebody a day off here and there. He is also a veteran, and his mind of anyone on the team is maybe the most untouchable. He is just like, he has the nickname The Machine. He doesn't get emotional. He doesn't whatever. He's an ideal bench player, you know? So I would put him on the bench, and then I would trade Torres because of this reason alone. We're not going to sign him long term. So if we're not going to sign him long term, then we need to, and he's not providing any value to the team. That's important too. So you can hang on to somebody even though you're not going to sign him because you're still getting some value. he's not providing any value to the team, and we're not going to sign him long term, you have to trade him. That's just good business. Like, you have to trade him. Like Jason said, even if it's for like a little bit of money or you know, a low prospect, like, it doesn't matter. If you have no intention to sign him, which they don't, I believe, and he's not providing any value to the team. In fact, he's detracting value from the team mentally, physically, with his errors, and at the plate. Unfortunately, that's just where we are. So that's how I feel about it.
And look,
it's
the Orioles and sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say the Orioles and the Red Sox are high energy teams.
Yeah,
speed, athleticism, and I would like to replace DJ and Torres with some speedy, athletic guys to counter the Red Sox and counter the Orioles in that regard.
Yeah, no, and to both of your points, you hit it right on the head when it comes to Gleyber Torres. When you look at the value that Gleyber Torres can give a team that's out there, the value for Gleyber Torres is that he is still under 30 years old. He is still in his late 20s, going into his 30s. He is still about to hit his prime. That's the one benefit that Gleyber Torres has. When it comes to DJ LeMahieu, it may suck to say it, but DJ LeMahieu, he's still a good, solid defender, like both of you guys laid out. He's going to be an expensive defensive replacement, making $15 million a season. But the one thing that he does have that works in his favor is that he is still a solid defender. So when you look at how this team can utilize both of them going forward, if they were to replace them, it would be DJ LeMahieu because he could play multiple positions. Gleyber Torres can only play second base. It would be DJ LeMahieu because DJ LeMahieu is a better infielder and fielder than Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres is one of the top leaders when it comes to errors at his position. I think Ellie De La Cruz is leading him when it comes to errors as well. But yeah, you know what I mean with Gleyber Torres. So it's going to come down to DJ LeMahieu being a very overpaid infielder, overplayed replacement defensive replacement who could play first, second, and third base if you need him in a pitch. And I like that idea of trading for a second baseman like Jazz Chisholm and then having John Birdie be a third baseman when he comes back from injury. I do like that idea, Jay.
I'm not exactly sure if they're gonna acquire a second baseman and a third baseman. So I would, as much as I would like for them to,
right?
I mean, get Paredes, but you're gonna be gutting a good chunk of your farm if you do that. So I'd rather have a second baseman because the ones that might be available can be positioned at leadoff hitters. And if you do that, I will put Ben Rice at cleanup because he's a lefty. And I would sandwich him between the righty Judge and the righty Stanton to go righty, lefty, righty. And seems to be unfazed no matter where in the lineup he plays. And I want to keep his bat on the higher part of the lineup.
I want to ask you, Jason, and Grease as well. Sorry, Grease. I know you was about to chime in. Just real quick. When it comes to Ben Rice, we buying into Ben Rice? Is it just the scouting reports they haven't figured out Ben Rice yet, or is Ben Rice the real deal? Is a kid that his college career was cut down because of COVID, right? Not that many people had eyes on Ben Rice. Ben Rice had to go out there and play in amateur leagues and try to build content and footage around himself. Ben Rice is a player that made his path to the major leagues. Ben Rice has more to do with it than his natural given talent. Ben Rice's work ethic when it comes to sending out his tapes to different scouts, that's the reason he's in the major leagues. But I want to ask you guys, are we buying into the Ben Rice hype?
At least for the rest of this year.
So far. Yeah. I was going to ask y'all if John Birdie could play second. That's what I was just going to ask real quick.
He can.
Isn't his better position at third baseman? I'm sorry, Jason, go ahead.
No, I was going to say you could play him a second, Grace, and you could acquire a third baseman instead. But what's going to be more expensive, a third baseman or second baseman? At this point, it looks like a third is going to be more expensive.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point.
So, and it really depends on what the Yankees are willing to pony up in trades, prospects, and so on. It's going to come down to that.
Okay.
So that yeah.
And then I just want to bring up this list one more time. And then, of course, guys, we're going to do the open panel. Jason, we do want to respect your time. At any time, if you got to dip out, just let us know. We'll let you leave while we get ready to do the open panel. But for the rest of that list, David Robinson and Kirby Yates. Jose Leleric. I have a very hard time pronouncing his last name. But Jose L, David Robertson, and Kirby Yates. Both Robertson and Yates are guys that really, really pique my interest because they have swing and miss stuff. More Robertson than Kirby Yates does. But I will be interested to get your guys' thoughts when it comes to both of those relievers who would automatically improve our bullpen. Off bat, they would help improve our bullpen. What's your thoughts on that, guys?
Jose Leclerc has been closing before, but again, he's not an ideal closer. He could definitely fit into the bullpen. He's got more like, I don't know, he's got like agility stuff. I want David Robertson. I've been very clear about this for weeks. I've been saying I want David Robertson. He, again, like Leclerc, has a lot of postseason experience. I mean, Leclerc just has his postseason experience from last year, but hey, it was successful. I would love to have David Robertson back. And who was the other guy on there?
Kirby Yates.
Okay, I don't really have an opinion about that.
Yates has his back right now. He was a superstar elite reliever, and then, he kind of fell off, and then these guys back. Like David Robertson, I'm looking at him right now. He's 3-3 with a 2.88 ERA. He has good control, so which makes him hittable sometimes, but he's elicited a lot of swing and misses too. So now Kirby Yates, he was the closer for the Padres for a while, if I remember correctly.
Former from the Yankees system also.
He was also from the Yankee system as well, and now his stats. I'm pulling them up right now. He is what is his stats? Let's see. Okay, he's 37 years old. So he's a little bit older, like David Robertson, but he's also putting forth a 3-1 with a 1.05 ERA right now.
I think he's been closing for the Rangers. I think
he's been their closer this season. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got 16 out of 16 in saves, 16 out of 16 in saves, 46 Ks and 34 innings pitched. So he's another guy that elicits a lot of swing and misses too. If you can get him, he would be a nice get for the bullpen. He would be a guy to consider. But at the end of the day, like if the goal, in my opinion, and if it's to replace Holmes, you got to have controllable years on a guy, and that's somebody's free agent also at the end of the season, because then you're gonna revisit this scenario again.
Good point.
Yeah, that is a solid point to take, because I've seen other people say the catcher, my guy Austin Cruz says some trades I would like to see the Yankees to make: Elias Diaz, the catcher from Colorado, Ahmed Rosario, Yandy Diaz for third base. I believe they help the Yankees offensive and defensively. When you look at Diaz, I've always been a fan of Diaz. I know he's been a fan favorite for the past 2 years because he exploded on the out there, but on the scene, I should say. But when you look at Diaz, he's going to be a free agent next year. He's making $6 million right now. A catcher who is good defensively and can provide you some offense, he's going to cost a lot when he hits free agency. So if the Yankees do trade for him, he may not cost you as much, but now you got a rental you're giving prospects up for, and you're going to have to deal with him in the offseason. And I'm not sure if the Yankees are going to try to re-sign Juan Soto and a catcher when they have Austin Wells, who's been looking like he could be the catcher of the future. I know Austin Wells, over his past 10 games, he's been performing real well. He's hitting 333, if I'm not mistaken, with some home runs and some doubles. So Austin Wells is starting to catch it and find himself.
And like teams, like we talk about Tanner Scott. I mean, the Marlins are also in on Tanner Scott and Jazz Chisholm, right? And, but the Marlins also need catching depth. We have 5 on our 40, man. 5 catchers, so we can move on with from a catcher, and I think with a
catcher or 2,
or 2 exactly, and you can have Narvaez up here, or even Augustin Ramirez, who has a more robust bat than Narvaez does, and platoon with Wells. But I do think Wells was a first-round draft pick in 2020 out of the University of Arizona. He played regularly, so when he plays more here, he'll profile more, I think, accurately as a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Right? I'm confident in Wells. I mean, which makes, in my opinion, Jose Trevino expendable. Like, could you move Trevino in a trade? I would, because we have Narvaez or Augustin Ramirez up here that could take his spot.
He has 1 year left. Is that right? Trevino?
He's got one range in 26. That's right.
Who, Trevino?
Trevino's got 1 more season.
Yeah. That's a no-brainer ideal trade because he's injured right now, and you know, so it's no skin off of our back to trade him to a team that cares not really about this year, but next year. And they get a platinum glove winner, best framer in baseball.
Who can still, yeah, he's a solid framer, like you said, Grace.
Yeah, solid framer. He has a bat that goes hot and cold, you know, just whatever. But he could maybe even mentor another catcher, maybe coming up and for whoever team he goes to. I would definitely look to that, even though I like Jose as a person. I hate to say that, you know, but no hard feelings. It's baseball. You know,
I think what the Yankees would do, and again, this is just me just looking outside the box. I think the move is to bring up Narvaez. I think you'll see Omar Narvaez be up here. He is a solid defender. His bat has come to life, but again, how realistic is it? You know, he's facing guys in AAA that are trying to find their way on a big league roster. So a lot of older veterans who don't have the good stuff like they do at AA. So it's very weird to say that in 2024, but nowadays prospects are judged on what they do more in AA than they do at AAA. Shout out to my guy Dane for always covering and putting great info out there when it comes to the prospects. But no, I can see the Yankees keeping Jose Trevino for this season, letting him mentor Austin Wells while he's injured. I can see them bringing up Narvaez to get a little sip of coffee at the big league level, send him back down. Jose Trevino will be the mentor for Austin Wells. And then next year, you'll see the departure of Jose Trevino. Just for context for people, in his last 10 games, Austin Wells, his batting average is .333. He has 12 hits, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, and 6 runs scored in his last 10 games. Big Wells, Chicken Palm Wells is coming to life.
Chicken Parm Wells. Oh boy.
Chicken Palm Wells. But I just want to say one thing with the catchers that we're talking about in the depth. I wouldn't mind centering a trade with the Marlins around Augustine Ramirez because they need catching prospects. So if we could center a trade around Augustine Ramirez for Tanner Scott and for Neely and maybe Jazz Chisholm, I think that's a way that we improve our bullpen and our infield.
If we have to let go of Augustine Ramirez, but we get back Tanner Scott and Jazz Chisholm, that is a trade that I'm like vibing with, okay? Because if I love Augustine Ramirez, I don't want to let him go, but trades hurt. But if we get that much back, sign me up for that. But also I wanted to say, I think Wells is good. Like Wells, he doesn't need to be babied by Jose Trevino anymore. He's already had the end of last year with Higgy and Trevi and all of this year. And with Garrett Cole taking him under his wing now that he's going to have to catch Garrett Cole and everything, I feel like he's good. He doesn't need any more, you know, hand holding. So I'm fine letting Trevi go, even though I love him, but
yeah. I think the last time the Yankees had 2 rookie catchers on their roster is when they had 3 catchers. It was Russell Martin, Francisco Cervelli, and Austin Romine. Even back then, they had 2 rookie catchers, but they still had an extra veteran catcher just to be the veteran for them.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
I mean, great point. I mean, really fantastic points. And again, Austin Wells also ran traffic when they got into the little bench shuffle the other day. He got right in front of the Orioles manager. He showed a little toughness there too. And
he ain't back down.
Guys like Garrett Cole appreciate. So, and to me, that stood out for me too. Standing up for his teammates. So, that's important. That really is important.
Nah, listen, Austin Wells, I had a pleasure meeting him at the Yankees minor league complex, George M. Steinbrenner Field. He was signing autographs for fans that were right there. I ran up there. People were asking him questions. He was ignoring all of the questions. So I made him laugh. I was like, Austin, Yankee fans found out that you're Dominican. How do you feel? He started laughing. And then after that, he started engaging, started answering questions. So shout out to Austin Wells. He was trying to be as serious as can, but as soon as he started laughing, he opened up and started talking to a lot of the young Yankee fans that were there. So it was great. Austin Wells he's a class act. He's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he definitely is. He definitely is. I'm going to put the link out for the open panel. Jason, you're more than welcome to stay. If you got to dip out, we definitely do respect your time. Definitely appreciate you joining us. Go ahead, Jay.
I got probably about a half an hour left. So
copy. So we normally end the show at 12:45. So I'm putting the link out there for the open panel. Everybody is welcome to come up. We're going to do it one at a time, like always. But always remember, be respectful to one another. please be respectful to the terms and services when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to Facebook, and when it comes to Twitter. Ultimately, don't be a douchebag. All right, don't be mean out there. That's all we ask for. So I'm gonna set this up. We got Nosebleed section in the background. I'm gonna bring up Nosebleed to join the conversation. Nosebleed, let me get a thumbs up. All right, he's ready to rock out. My guy, how you feeling, Nosebleed?
Nosebleed.
Hey, everybody. How's everybody going?
How you doing,
Good, baby.
Good,
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 baby.
good.
How you doing?
I have too many opinions. I'm not going to say them all at the same time.
Well, get whatever you want off your test, Unc. You know that.
Grace, I agree with you with Wells. I believe that with this playing time coming regularly, he's going to thrive. Like,
Yeah, let's go.
Mhm.
And-
Two.
who was the catcher when the last time that Rodon pitched, then he only gave up 3 runs? Wells. That's right, because Wells will straighten his ass out real quick.
Mhm.
Yep.
You
He's
ain't-
like,
you ain't wrong about that.
fastball. Wells is like, no. He's shaking off Rodon instead of the other way around.
Yeah. Nosebleed, what was your thoughts on the different trade proposals we was talking about? Where do you have your head for the Yankees at the trade deadline if you were Brian Cashman?
I really think that we need Paredes more than anybody.
Wow. Okay. Is there a reason why Paredes specifically?
Because the offense is horrible right now. They need a little jolt.
So let me ask you this. Then are you prepared to watch Spencer Jones play for the Tampa Bay Rays for the next
No, but
5 years?
I'm willing to let Dominguez play for the Rays.
Oh, hell
Oh.
no. See, now you've gone from preaching meddling because Dominguez is my guy.
I
Well,
am
first-
the only one that's not drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't understand
Okay.
why everybody loves Dominguez so much.
Well,
He was
I
here
was-
for
I was-
8 games last year.
I
8
was gonna
games.
say
I'll tell you why.
this, Nosebleed. Hold on, I was gonna say this, Nosebleed. You ain't the only one, because last year Jason had a problem with Jason Dominguez. I think it's specifically because he spells his name different than this Jason. He spells it with 2 S instead of 1 S, and Jason feels some type of way about that. So I think that's what it is.
Jason, you don't like Jason Dominguez?
Felt the need to add 2 S's to his name, you bastard. So yeah, I don't.
Okay, I'll tell you why we like Jason Dominguez. First of all, he's a switch hitter with power from both sides. He hits to all fields. He plays left field and center field, and he has low strikeout numbers, so he can do like contact and power. You could slot him in the first or second spot in the lineup. He can provide protection to a lefty or a righty. He can pitch against, he can play against different pitching. He doesn't expand the strike zone. He's very much like Juan Soto in that way. He will walk and he will get on base. He's an all-around great player. I think that's why I prefer him. No offense to Spencer Jones, but Spencer Jones to me is a strikeout or a home run guy. Mostly, I know he has some other. I know that's not only. He's not Joey Gallo. I'm not saying that. But I love Spencer Jones' speed. I think Jason Dominguez also has plus speed. So for me, my personal feeling, I feel like Dominguez is a more rounded player and Spencer Jones is a more specialty player. And for me, I just choose Jason Dominguez. Obviously, I like them both. But I think that we could more replace Spencer Jones than Jason Dominguez in our system if we had to, just because of what I said. Like, he's power, a lot of high strikeout numbers, and an outfielder. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I see that argument. I want to shout out Stephen B real quick. Stephen B said, "I'm tired from cleaning an oil spill on a delivery and filling it from late night service call and didn't get back to 4:30 a.m." Stephen B, go get some sleep. Thank you for being in the building. I know exactly what you mean with the oil spills. I worked EMS and I worked overnight, so I know that feeling. My fault, Jason. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, remember when I was talking about that 1 and 4? Dominguez, I would want 1, and Jones, I would want at the 4.
Yeah, that would be so dope.
If we were gonna sandwich Jones and sandwich Judge and Soto in between them.
Oh my gosh.
Jason, I want to speak on Spencer Jones real quick, and we got Old Sarge backstage. We'll get to Old Sarge momentarily. Shout out to Old Sarge. But for me, I'm looking at Spencer Jones like this. He had a phenomenal breakout spring training. He was the talk of the town in spring training. Different grading systems that follow prospects were saying Spencer Jones is going to be the #1 prospect by the time the season is over. And then he got injured. And I think his injury caused him to have a slow start to the season, and fans are judging him to his slow start to the season because for the past month, since the start of July, Spencer Jones, if you look at his numbers in the minor leagues, he's hitting well over 300 for the month of July. It was his slow start to the season because of his injury that I think some fans are just willing to trade him away because they're just looking at his stats overall and not dissecting or doing some critical thinking when it comes to Jones. What's your thoughts on that, Jason? And then throw it over to Grace.
This where I think perspective is important. When Rachel Balkovic sent up Dominguez to Double-A when she gave that promotion, he went through the same growing pains that Jones went through. Okay, he had the same struggles offensively, and he made adjustments and so on, which Jones is making now. And then when he went up to Triple-A, it just kind of like took off after that. I think the same thing's going to happen to Jones. He also profiles to be, as fast as Ellie De La Cruz, which is for a guy who looks like Aaron Judge but runs like Ellie De La Cruz. That's a scary combination. He's a good defender in the outfield. He's got a rocket for an arm too. So he's a guy I don't want to sleep on. And unfortunately teams know this, right? Like I don't want Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones in the lineup. I want both of them in the lineup.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, it's going to be really hard to do based on the guys that we need at the deadline. And the guys that we need are impact players, right? And they're going to require one of these, which sucks, but it's true. So that's the reality that we have to deal with, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, I would love both of them in the lineup. No doubt about it.
Yankee fans, just always remember, I know hindsight is 50-50, right? But just, I know Yankee fans, and just hear me out. Entertain this real quick. I know some Yankee fans, they despise Aaron Boone, right? So I'm talking to those Yankee fans that despise Aaron Boone. Listen to me. Just listen to the conversation. In the late 90s, Brian Cashman traded away one of our third base prospects to the Florida Marlins. That third base prospect turned into Mike Lowe, who eventually won a World Series with the Boston Red Sox, who won a batting title with the Boston Reds. I mean, he was second runner-up for batting title with the Boston Red Sox. If the Yankees never traded Mike Lowe to the Marlins for some random bullpen arm that never even panned out with the Yankees, we never make the trade for Aaron Boone. There you go. You never get Aaron Boone with the Yankees. So always think about that when you're talking about willing to trade prospects away. Just remember, if the Yankees never traded Mike Lowe away, we would never have Aaron Boone as a manager. Just think about that. Like that? Hindsight? 50-50?
I love it.
Connecting the dots? No?
Yeah.
Nobody? Okay. Shout out to CT Cards in the chat. Oh no, Hector, you had to mention Boone. I'm sorry. I just had to bring up Aaron Boone. Again, Mike Lowe, he did win a World Series with the Marlins in 2003 and with the Boston Red Sox. And he killed us in the 2003 World Series. So if we never traded him away, maybe we win the 2003 World Series. You never know. But again, hindsight's 50-50. What's your thoughts on that?
So true.
I think 9. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's always, the benefit for the fans to be able to look back. It's like kids sitting in their basement, playing Jimi Hendrix licks on their electric guitar. And they're like, yeah, Jimi Hendrix wasn't even that good. Look, I can do what he did. And I'm like, yeah, but he did it first. He made it up. Okay? You didn't make it up. You're just copying him. So it's like, we can look back at the trades and dissect them and be like, oh, Cashman this, Cashman that. But like his job is to predict. It's so hard. Like so hard. But back to Nosebleed, I want Paredes too. I think he would be incredible for the Yankees. I would love to have a third base plug. I feel like that is a big hole in our club. That if John Birdie can play second, like Jason said, I'm very interested in Paredes at third, Birdie at second. Or we could do Jazz at second and then Birdie at third, but I would love to have Paredes. And I would be willing to trade. Honestly, I'd be willing to trade Spencer Jones for that. But I know nobody else is going to agree with me. But not Jason Dominguez. How dare you?
Nosebleed. Last question before I let you go, because we got Old Sarge backstage. I want to bring up Old Sarge to join the conversation. Expectations for the second half of the season. How do you think the Yankees are going to shape up going towards October and also at the trade deadline? If you had to give them a grade, what are you thinking?
I think the Yankees are going to beat the Orioles by 3 games or less for the division. Because the O's don't scare me. I told you, the O's don't scare me. They couldn't pull away when we were playing like crap. So I don't have no faith the Orioles can do it.
I love Nosebleeds. I love his takes. I love his energy, his positivity. I love it.
Yeah, no, because and again, Nosebleed, thank you so much. Appreciate you like always. You know, it's an open door policy whenever you want to come up to the open panel. See you next time, and let's go Yankees. Because before the All-Star break, right before the series against Tampa Bay, we were having conversations that if the New York Yankees, if they go on a bad spell, that when they face Baltimore or going into the All-Star break, we could be 6 to 5 games behind the Orioles in our division. And now we're 1 game behind them. We should actually be on top of the division, but that's another conversation for another day. Old Sarge, let me go ahead, Grace.
I was just going to say real quick, don't forget the Orioles have a tough schedule coming up. August and September for the Orioles is like the opposite of the Yankees. So don't forget about that. And it will matter for sure.
Old Sarge, how you feeling, Unc?
All right, not doing too bad, Hector. So skinny as always, Grace, lovely as always.
Appreciate you,
Jason. Nice to meet you, man. I love your content.
Likewise, thanks, man.
All right, so I'm gonna once again parrot a lot of the stuff that people have been parroting here. Ask you all, what does 470 feet to right field look like?
A moonshot.
I want to know. I want to see Spencer Jones hit the facing of the upper deck.
Thank you.
I'm not trading him. I am not trading him at all. So
no one. There's no one out there that you would trade him for. Okay.
Zero
Right.
people.
Okay. That's fair.
So consistent with what we were saying last time, Grace, you got to get some players to come back and perform. Okay, so if that's done, then the Yankees only need pieces and parts. So I'm big on a relief. Let's get that relief arm, but I'm not trading Jones for a relief arm. And if we're trading for pieces and parts, then I'm not trading Jones for pieces and parts. If we have the pitching depth, then let's trade that pitching depth. But I'm also not trading Dominguez either. So that's that. I'm greedy because the season aside and have everybody, hey, let's do this now, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. Next year, if the plan isn't, then it should be Dominguez in left, Jones in center, Soto and Judge splitting right, and DH, and Stanton becomes Darryl Strawberry and Chili Davis.
There you go.
So that's where we should be. So I'm not trading Jones for anything. We need to get these players back that were performing before, get them performing again. That's I just come down on that. So
you're talking about Verdugo performing again?
Yeah, and Verdugo, I mean, he was hitting between Judge and Stanton. So he was perfect in the four spot then. Because he was getting protection on both ends. He was going to get pitches to hit. I've seen a lot of uppercut in his swing anyway, so he just needs to calm down with that and get back to basics. As far as the trade deadline, I think the trade market is too thin. I think if you're going to trade all of these assets, then you're going to get assets that come back that are still going to be too short if the people that are supposed to come back don't perform.
So let me ask you this. If you want Verdugo back in the 4 and then Giancarlo in 5, where's Bryce? Who's leading off for you?
It seems like everywhere that kid hits, everywhere they put him, he hits. I mean, if it works at leadoff, then you put him at leadoff. And if we're in a perfect world and Rice is doing what he does and Stanton comes back, and Verdugo can, I don't know, he hit somewhere else, put Rice in there in the 4 spot. So,
I like that. Okay.
There's a number of different ways to skin that cat. So my thing is the Yanks need to get that balance between rehabbing players and getting them working and making the smart trades that they need. And for pieces and parts, only thing I'm trading, because I'm not trading Dominguez. That's no. But if you talk about Spencer Jones, then if you're going to trade Spencer Jones, then the only thing that you get back for Spencer Jones is a Spencer Jones that's doing it now. That's major league. That's in the major leagues. The only thing you're playing for. So if Dane is right, then the speed, the glove, the arm, and the power are already there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But
and that's why Dane has been saying you don't. I know some people say you put Spencer Jones at first base, but it's everything that you just said when it comes to his defense, when it comes to his speed, when it comes to his arm strength. You don't waste that at first base. You put him in the outfield. At Yankee Stadium for the Yankees, I could see him being the left fielder for the Yankees, just because left field in Yankee Stadium, it's as big as center field in most ballparks, right? I can see if the Yankees are on the road, you have Spencer Jones as your center fielder, Jason Dominguez as your left fielder. If you're in Yankee Stadium, then you should have Spencer Jones as your left fielder with Dominguez as your center fielder, because Spencer Jones is the better outfielder. He's the better fielder. He has better range than Jason Dominguez. He has a better arm than Jason Dominguez. Him and Jason Dominguez, when it comes to speed, they're neck and neck. It's just Spencer Jones is more of a polished outfielder and fielder than Dominguez is. And just for context, when it comes to John Birdie, on June 2nd was when the injury came out. He had a high-grade left calf strain. It's reported that he was going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. So when you look at the time frame, we're like seven weeks away from that injury. So he should be coming back over the next 2 weeks. So it will be interesting to see. And it's right before the trade deadline. Having John Birdie comes back, it gives Brian Cashman options at the trade deadline. Because like Jason said, I don't think it's realistic that the Yankees are going to trade for both a second and a third baseman. I could see a reality where they trade for one or the other and have John Birdie play the position that they didn't trade for. So if they trade for a second baseman, Birdie is your third baseman. If they trade for a third baseman, Birdie is your second baseman. I just think it's more realistically going to be a second baseman, because the third baseman may cost a little bit more, like Jason was saying earlier. What's your thoughts on that, Jay? And then throw it up to Grace.
I think that's probably going to be the avenue that they take. Trading for one and calling up one, or trading for one and using one, right? And probably at the end of the day, I think they're going to trade for the second baseman and play Birdie at third. And Birdie's got a good glove. He's also fast, so we're getting a speedy player back in the lineup on the base paths, right? And wherever he hits, he runs. So, and this is where like the rotational fit happens. I mean, the lineup fit happens. This is why. I do think trading for a leadoff hitter and moving Rice to cleanup, that way when Stanton comes back, you can bat Alex Verdugo under Stanton, because we need a contact bat in the bottom 3 of that lineup. Okay, we need production from there that we're not getting now. We've gotten a little bit, but if you can get a contact bat and a speed bat in the bottom third of the lineup, it creates opportunities for the top of the lineup again, right? So, and we want that rotating type of chaos that we need to create on the base pass that we haven't been doing over the last, a couple of weeks since the guys have been hurt. And
we've had absolutely zero chaos, Jason.
Yeah. Exactly. Like when they were firing on all cylinders, first team to 50, they were lighting it everywhere. Right? Throwing, stealing, doing the works. But then one guy gets hurt, and I think Stanton's injury was most impactful on the lineup. That's where I think that we're trashing the guy. I think I kind of miss him now, because the production we had him, right? It's like he was on he was on track for 40 to 45 home runs, 100 RBIs, and he'll miss 50 games and he'll still give you 35 home runs. Yeah, crazy. So, and he also costs a ton of money, so I can't see them moving off of him either at any point in time. Yeah, and that's the reality too. Like I think they're going to ride with him until he's going to be, his option is up. He's no longer. And then I think at that point, Aaron Judge will probably become the full-time DH because he'll be 35 at that point. So sense. And then like you'd have Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones said they'll only be 24 and 25 in the outfield. So that at the youthful outfield, and you have Juan Soto who won't even be 30 yet if he's still here.
Yeah.
And that's the type of outfield.
Ooh, that sounds good to me.
and I know there's some Yankee fans that, they're down on both Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones, right? And Jason, when we first started talking about the Martian, about Jason Dominguez, we were talking about his ETA being around 2024 and 2025. He was earlier last year. We were expecting him this year, but then of course the oblique situation. So if his track record or what they saw him to be was 2025, he's on track to be up here and be an everyday outfielder for 2025. I just think some fans, and it's very unfair for me to say this, but I think as a fan I can say this. Some fans, they live in the reality of what have you done for me lately? It's a recency bias. It's all about what have you recently done for my organization. And I think when you
6 inches in front of their face.
Exactly. When you judge players like that, or if you judge coaches like that, or even if you judge normal people in your daily interactions like that, I think that's very unfair. You got to give people an opportunity to make mistakes. It's just how they bounce back for their mistakes. Like I was saying with Verdugo, perfect example from Verdugo. Verdugo in Baltimore, he had his Aaron Hicks, Joey Gallo, Josh Donaldson moment, right? He spoke to the reporters afterwards. You could tell how frustrated he was giving one-word responses. He was super frustrated, more mad at himself. Now let's see how Verdugo responds from adversity. If Verdugo folds after what happened in Baltimore, you get rid of him and you replace him. Let's see if Verdugo actually has that dog in him, or if he's more talk than anything. Let's see how he bounces back from adversity before we just cast him to the side.
Yeah, and he will. We do have Trent Grisham here, who's been producing more than Verdugo has, and he's a fourth outfielder. So like, and when I use this argument too, with at the end of the day, if you bring up Dominguez, he's going to be the number 4 outfielder. And somebody moves on. He's not taking anybody's spot. Okay, he has to earn it, first of all. Again, and he's got to show that he's healthy and so on and so forth. He's going to be the starting left fielder in 2025, but not in. That's why you have Trent Grisham here, who's an elite glove, who can play left and center. So plays, he tends to produce. So I'm okay with letting Grisham, give Verdugo a day off and playing Grisham as well. So I'm fine with that.
Sarge, before you leave us, I wanted to ask you, because I thought about you during the All-Star game. Did you watch it?
No, I did not. I had a full audit and inspection of my site this week. So it's like getting abducted by aliens with a full-on body cavity search. So I've been a little busy.
Oh my God, are you okay?
My ass hurts.
Oh my God. Well, I was gonna ask you about Paul Skeens and what you think about him, because they were saying that he was a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
And he's like a military guy. And he's like this crazy, like super tall, huge, young fighter pilot guy who now is throwing gas in MLB. He's starting the All-Star game as a rookie. I mean, he's nuts.
I have a particular affinity for A-10 pilots because I used to work with them and call in rockets and bombs off of A-10. Yeah. Fighter pilots have Rolex watches and $80 haircuts. And unlike the rest of us grunts, they get to go spend time in the gym and eat good food. So, yeah, whatever. But if he's using afterburners to throw fastballs, all right, cool.
That was the best answer ever.
That kid's real.
Yeah, he's a graduate from the Air Force Academy. Shout out to Paul Skeens. As they said in USA Today, Paul Skeens. Yeah, he made the Air Force proud in his All-Star debut. Shout out to Paul Skeens. Young kid, phenomenal arm. His numbers, they jump out of the paper when you look at his stats. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, I know a lot of fan base, they've been making fun of the Pirates, especially over the past 20 years. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they have a bright future. Hopefully that ownership, hopefully whoever's in charge over there does not fumble the bag with this next group of young prospects or next group of young talent that the Pittsburgh Pirates have. Not only O'Neal Cruz, but also Paul Skeens and other pitching prospects that they do have as well in their system. Pittsburgh is going to be a team to watch out for some years to come. I called it last year with Kansas City. I told people last year Kansas City is going to surprise people this upcoming season, and I'm going to say the same thing for Pittsburgh. Watch next year. Pittsburgh is going to be what Kansas City is this year.
Yeah, Pittsburgh needs to get ownership like the new Orioles ownership. They're just as good as farming talent, but you got to keep it and pay them what you can in order to compete. So, it would be nice to see a Pirates team that can actually compete.
Old Sarge, let's get your last words before we let you go, because we got NFE who's backstage. We're going to bring him up and we're going to wrap things up.
Just once again, pieces, parts. Let's not give away the farm to cover spaces that hopefully people can cover themselves coming back. And now I'm just repeating myself. Jason, nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Grace, you take care. Heck, stay skinny, and
Sarge,
we'll talk to you guys later.
You have a good one. You be safe, Sarge. Right, that was my friend Old Sarge. So we got two more people backstage. I'm going to bring both of them up at the same time, NFE and my guy David Cohen, just because we're going to wrap things up literally in the next 3 minutes. So I want to get both of them up here to get their takes real fast, and we're going to wrap things up and get out of here because Jason got to go, I got to go, and Grace has a life as well, so she has to go as well. So I'm going to bring up NFE and DC right now. NFE, how you doing? David Cohen, it's been a minute, DC. Hope all is well. Hope you're good.
I'm good, man. How are you guys doing?
Yo, what's
good,
going
baby,
on?
good.
Real quick. I was just gonna.
He muted
The
himself.
area.
There you go.
Oh, go ahead, NFE. My fault. You muted real quick. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm just saying, I'm trying to get through a choppy area, so I might not be clear when I'm speaking.
Oh, you good for right now?
All right, cool. So.
Yeah, let's just get your take real quick, just so I can throw it over to DC, and then we'll get ready to wrap things up, NFE.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I'm just going to give a quick take. I won't take too much time, but I think as far as the trade deadline goes, the Yankees absolutely need to focus on infield, whether it's second base or third base.
Mm-hmm.
Put a lot of focus into the bullpen because that's a little bit of a rough area right now, kind of a little bit of a weak area right now.
Copy. DC, let's get your thoughts as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. For the trade deadline, I've been saying, I said it on NFE's channel, man. Give me Jazz Chisholm, because for me, he checks all the boxes: speed, power, strikes out, but then that would fit the Yankees line up perfect because everybody else strikes out. But to me, he provides that spark that they're missing right now. And Grace, you'll love this. I wouldn't trade Jason Dominguez. But I'm not trading Spencer either, because I want them in our outfield.
Okay.
So I'm not trading either one of them.
DC, I gotta tell you, when you were talking, my internet cut out, and I was trying to read your lips, and it looked like you said Chad Green, and I was
No.
What?
No.
So that's why I was laughing. I wasn't laughing at you. I was tickled to death because I thought you said there's one guy that I want above everyone else.
Jazz Chisholm.
Green.
No, Jazz Chisholm.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
No.
But listen, I know everybody wants Paredes, but for me, it's Chisholm. Because I think he fills more boxes than Paredes does.
I've been calling for Jazz Chisholm for a minute. I'm not sure if you guys hear an echo. I'm hearing an echo right now, and it's like real bad.
I'm not hearing
it's just on my end then. So when it comes down to it, I've always been a fan of Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm is the infielder that I think the Yankees need. His energy, his speed. We saw it in the first 2 months of the season how Verdugo was. Now just imagine that energy with Chisholm. I'm not sure where this echo is coming from. It is messing with me in my autism. My tism is going crazy right now. So NFE, DC, appreciate both of you guys. Thank you. Oh, okay, cool. That was DC's end. Sorry about that. Sorry about the echo. Yeah, that echo was bothering something crazy. Again, appreciate DC, appreciate NFE as well. Jason, my man, appreciate you like always. Like I've always said, I appreciated you from day one. When I first started Yankees Morning Brew over there on the nights of Degen, you were the first person that I reached out to, and you've helped me out tremendously. So got to give you your flowers. Thank you so much, Jay.
Pleasure. If you're both available, I mean, and you're not doing anything, I already told you, but Grace, you're more than welcome too. I'm going to be live from like 12 to 7 on trade deadline day. So you're welcome to hop on and join me if you want to participate, and we'll go over and talk about all this stuff we're going to be hit with day. So you're more than welcome to come to join us, Grace.
Thank you, Jason. That's
the Tuesday, right? So we're going to be live Tuesday from 11 to 1 o'clock. Right. So immediately after our stream, I'll jump on over to you. So we'll be live from 11 to 1 as well. So
link, you give it to Grace. You're more than welcome to come on.
Copy. That'd be a good one. That'd be a good time right there.
Again, I really made it, y'all. I really made it. I really feel like I've made it. I've been watching you for so long, Jason. Long time. So that really means a lot to me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Please.
Nah, definitely. Again, Jason, appreciate you. Grace, last words for the people before we get out of here. And then Jason, last words as well. Go ahead, Grace.
I want to say, we were talking about the energy of the Yankees at the beginning of the season and how they had all this energy. They came out of the gate and they were like sprinting, right? Then they had to, recalibrate. This is a marathon, not a sprint, right? So we've gone through the lull. Well, guess what? Now it's about to be anchor the relay time. We're coming back. We're making trades, and we're hitting that stretch, and we're going into the postseason. It's about to be go time, and we're going to start sprinting again. And I believe in this team. I believe. So it's about to get exciting, y'all. Don't give up yet. We're going all the way.
Yeah, definitely. Jason, last words. Positive message for the Yankee world.
Brian Cashman, you've been baking the cake for the first half of the season. Now it's time to put on the icing in the second half. So let's get it done. Let's go, Yankees.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. I'm hungry right now. Jason just brought up cake. I got the only sugar munchies right now. But no, Yankee fans, like I've always been saying, and Grace just said it, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? And Brian Cashman, we trust. We're going to keep that same energy like my friend TC says, and Brian Cashman, we trust. But in reality, the trade deadline is coming up. It will be next week. We expect this team to improve. If this team doesn't improve, I'll be singing a different tune after the trade deadline and how I feel about Brian Cashman. I'll tell you that. But until next time, guys, make sure to drink some water. Say something positive about yourself. It's super hot outside, so make sure you guys are taking precaution. If you're going to go outside, make sure you get in an AC in a car. Make sure you stay hydrated. Do not pass out. And like always, say something nice. Say something positive. Deuces.
Pay it forward with love.